Good afternoon, everyone. I'm recording this session. We'll be posting it for others to see. Welcome. Thank you for showing up. Currently, I have on my list Mike, Brenda, Kathy, the two at Sherman Elementary, Irene, Tanya, Gerald, Brian, and Mary. Am I missing anybody?
Yes, I'm here. Sarah's here.
Thank you, Sarah. Why can't I see you? Ah, there you are.
I don't know.
There you are.
I'm here
Excellent.
as well.
And who is that?
John. Me, John.
And I can't see you either, John. Can you turn your camera on?
I can see myself up there. I don't know why we're not coming through.
Ah, there you are. Now I see you. Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, so people are logged into the ELO Cohort agenda for today, January 22nd, 2014. We're going to walk through the agenda, and I see people posting on the Today's Meet site. So we will go through those postings in just a minute and try to get through our business as quickly as possible. So here we go. Just a reminder that the expectations for the ELO grant for this year are that we are collaborating, not just connecting, not just presenting to, not one side doing all the work, but some conversation back and forth and interaction back and forth. Good examples of that I have seen is that when people do give presentations, the students at the other side have the rubrics and are scoring the kids and send that feedback back to the students. So that's a good example. Kathy's book club is a good example. She has 1 or 2 first graders from each site that is participating, second graders, come in on iPads and take turns reading the book that they've chosen for the week. And I've seen others of you do great examples where the kids are talking back and forth to each other. I know that Spanish is going to be doing that. So just keep in mind, this year is collaborating. Next year we'll move into creating things together. I think we need to talk a little bit about changing the template. Over here on the left-hand side where it says event block template, I know that I left out the requirement for a room number, but other people reminded me, be sure and post that. So I'm going to open it now and ask for some feedback. It says, I'm going to open it big here. It says we've got name, district, participants. Now let's talk about that. The name is the person who is posting the event. That's how you get your credit for hosting 2 events a month. The district is the one you're from. Participants, those people who do actually participate should log in themselves and write in their names or their district names. If you have resource people, experts, if you're presenting, you're an expert, like Sarah in every way is an expert in science. If she's the one running the event, she should put herself down as the expert in science. What's the content? Age grade, upload lesson plans or Common Core information or your templates for evaluating the students. So I think age grade, right under here I'm going to put virtual conference room number 22 dash and then XXXX, and you need to make up what those 4 numbers are. Upload a lesson plan. After event report, the person who hosted it needs to go in and say, this many attendees, went really well, I learned this, or these are the things we covered, there wasn't enough time, etc. And then suggestions would be things that I hear from people like, get the lighting better because the kids can't be seen, change this, or it really works well if you use this on iPad but not that, things like that, things that you've learned. Any other suggestions for the block template for when we're posting our events? What else would you like to see in there?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you hear me, Rita?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Laura and I have been putting both of our names as the host because we are writing the lesson plans together.
So every time you share, you get a half credit for that one, and then but you guys do so many of them, it adds up just fine.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's okay I put both our names there.
It's fine with me. I can do the math. Okay, if there are no more questions about the block template, just remember what I do is I go to this event block template. You can highlight everything that's in there, starting with name. Do a Control-C on your PC, and then go back to this year's events, collaborative and planning events, whatever month you're going to be doing it in. Open up a content block, on-page text. Put your cursor in the box and Control V for pay. Oh, no, I got a JPEG. That's supposed to work. Well, look at that. Let's try it again. Don't you love it when technology doesn't work? Event block template. Okay. Control copy. Okay, then back to this collaborative events. Go to February. Add a content block, on page text. Right click, paste. Okay. Control V. Oh, there it goes. And it goes in. And just save it there. Oh. Just gonna call that event and save it. And it's in there and you can edit it as you like. We're going back to our in-service January. And just a reminder, everybody's doing 2 posts a month, posting 2 events a month. I have one more charge sync station with a MacBook Pro and 10 iPads. Been here in my office. I've used it for training purposes, but I really need to get it out there where the kids are. So I need one more cohort person to sign up. We had originally kind of hoped that it would go to Spray Secondary, or because there's only one in the district in Spray, but nobody has stepped up. So I'm now opening it up region-wide. Any one more teacher in any of the districts who wants to become part of the cohort, you guys know the responsibilities. Let me know or have them contact me. I'll send them a cohort application. Nobody who applied was denied. At this point now we have just one. But if we have more than one and we start doing some sharing, for example, Irene and Rhonda share the high school responsibilities. At the elementary, we have 2 elementary teachers sharing those 2 responsibilities so they can each do 1 a month. That's fine with me too. We could get more people in the cohort, share the load. But please get the word out there, and we would love to deliver this to a school. I wanted to remind you, I just put a little blurb in the agenda about where to post your events. Make sure that you're posting your events a week in advance. I still recommend that you email the cohort and let them know. And then as cohort members, part of your responsibility is to contact people in your school district or outside. Remember, we can bring people from outside in. Contact other people that you think might benefit from this. So for example, I had a conversation with the superintendent from Dayville, they have a Polycom system, they could dial in, they could start collaborating with these events, and they want to start the workshops that we've been doing about parsing standards and the whole model. So there'll be a match there. So we might be able to bring in schools from Grant County and other counties too who would be interested in this. If you have friends who are teachers in other districts who want to participate, let's start making those connections and getting it figured out how they can dial in. I was looking for portfolios because this is the 2nd year of the grant and it's now going into 2nd semester. I really kind of have this feeling that the feds are going to come down upon us this semester to look at all our data and look at our stuff and look at our activities. So I went through and I was looking at your portfolios, and I need you guys to be sure and post not only your pictures in your portfolios and update your portfolios in Haiku, but you might want to think about linking to some YouTube videos that you've taken on your iPads, just walking around with kids working on things. And I've got some good pictures of some of your classrooms too, so from my YouTube channel, so I'll start putting those links in as well. So let's start showing some interaction there too, so that the person who are showing these things and the superintendents can see what's going on in the classrooms. Showing is better than telling. I love the content blocks, the event blocks. Now let's get into our portfolios some links to things that are actually happening. Even if you're not doing a connection with another district, but you're showing how the cart and the iPads are being used in an instructional setting, that would be great, because then we can get some ideas of how to use that. You can go in and set up your account so that you get notices whenever there's a change in Haiku. If you don't know how to do that, email me and I'll make a little screencast for you and show you how to do that. But that's might be a second notification to you to remind you that there are things going on. Go in and check and see what's happening. All of you are now in the situation where your districts are implementing Senate Bill 290, which is the Educator Effectiveness Teacher Evaluation Process. Wheeler County is using the Marshall templates, and Sherman and Gillum counties are using the Danielson templates. One of the things that I informed the superintendents of last week is how to give the teachers an artifact template. It's like a cover sheet for giving evidence of the things that you guys are doing. So for example, one of the things that you all could do is when I post this video link in Haiku, you could copy the link and put it on one of those artifact templates and submit it to your superintendent as evidence of collaboration, because you're involved in a huge cohort that collaborates weekly. The things that you're doing in class, all the videos that you're taking of things and projects and activities, pictures. Sarah's got tons of pictures. Kathy's got tons of pictures. Lorena's got tons of pictures of kids doing things. Tanya as well. And I'm sure the rest of you have too. Those pictures, if you put them in a Flickr or a photo bucket or wherever you put them online and link them, or just put the pictures in your artifact template, that can be evidence of either Danielson or Marshall activities. So they are empowering you, or the system, Senate Bill 290 system, is empowering you to submit proof that you are doing things that are aligned with your template. So my first question, aligned with your evaluation process. So my first question is, would you like me, I was thinking this might help you, to send out or post a Marshall and a Danielson form, and then type into there examples of things that you are doing in the cohort that would meet those certain various standards?
Yes, I would like that.
Sort of ideas of things that would work? Okay, so that would help. Because I was with teachers for Fossil Elementary, and I was just with them a while. Well, it was quite a while because we explained the whole thing, but it only took about an hour for us to gather enough information for them to submit two templates, two pieces of evidence, artifacts or evidence of fulfilling requirements on their evaluation sheets. So now I've worked really closely with most of Sherman and Gillum County, or Gillum and Wheeler County. Tell me, in Sherman County, are you really closely familiar with your evaluation template and all that stuff that's going on? Let's start at the elementary.
I was on the committee last year, and it's also how I was evaluated when I was in Idaho, so I'm a little bit pretty familiar with it.
Is that Jessica talking? Because it's dark, so I can't see who's. Is that Jessica? Okay.
Yes.
Good.
But we kind of had a crazy year here at Sherman, and so I don't think that we probably did it as hard as we should have. So, I mean, I feel fortunate that I have background information a little bit because of where I taught before and being on the committee, but I don't know. How do you feel, Amy? Do you know much about it?
No, it's overwhelming.
Okay, would it help you then if I did a little screencast sort of explaining the background of the law and how it relates to what is happening in your evaluation processes in your districts? Would you like a tutorial on that?
Yeah.
I think that would help in Arlington, maybe not for members of the cohort, but for other staff.
Well, you could
We
share
can share it.
Yeah, you could absolutely
Yeah, I
share
would
it.
definitely share that.
Jessica, do you remember we discussed when I did your evaluation the section 1 and 4 and 5 that were not very observable?
Yes.
Yeah, those are the sections that you need to get the artifacts for. So
Yes.
just want to make sure that you understood that was where we were going with that.
Right, because I think it was Arlington. We were told that Arlington teachers gathered around the Danielson model, and they said that they figured out if they submitted 26 artifacts, they would cover the entire evaluation process.
Well, we were told we had to do the artifacts for everything, but we weren't going to be able to.
Yeah,
It's really confusing to find artifacts. That's the confusing part.
Okay. All right, so I'll put those together at tutorial, some examples for both the Marshall and the Danielson models, and we'll post those so you guys can have an idea of the kinds of things that you can submit. Are there any questions
Would
on
you
that?
recommend that those postings that you put together, Brenda, are then shared with personnel in the districts
Sure.
that the cohort is part of? I mean, we're all going to be in that same boat rather than just people in the cohort.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll be there on Friday to work with you guys on this anyway in Fossil. Yep. Good idea. Yeah, feel free to share the video links with anybody. Okay, so, and let's talk about conversations with the superintendents. So I've taken the superintendents in and shown them our haiku website. I have shown them multiple videos from my YouTube page. I've shown them blocks of posted events, and I've shown them the data, who is submitting events and who is not. So they know, and they've been reminded of the goals of the grant and the reporting responsibilities. So I'm gonna, it was just to let you know, I've updated the superintendents. They know where you are, and they are encouraging me to encourage you to step up and make sure everybody's doing the events. And then the other side of it is participation. Try to respond to someone and when you can participate. But unfortunately, we have a lot of situations where nobody's jumping in to at least watch and participate in a class event. So that brings me to the thought that, well, some of the things you're going to be doing, yes, you just post it and invite everybody and people show up. Sometimes you want to do what like Tanya and Laura are doing. They co-write it, so they know they're going to have an audience. They're doing it together. Kathy has tons of communication going out to the book reader group. So you know that you've got your audience there. So that's another approach to go at it, is by doing the collaborative events. Not only can you share the count, but you know that you're going to have an audience. It's really discouraging for the students when they set it up, get ready, log in, and there's nobody to watch this presentation. So let's try and work with that. I'm going to go through the today's meet. We've got a welcome. Somebody was having issues. John was having issues with the Polycom on the new iOS on iPad, still working on technical stuff. So John, explain to me what's going on.
It was telling me there was an invalid address to the Polycom. I downloaded Polycom and typed in 221314, and no matter how I typed it in, it just kept telling me incorrect address or
Okay.
invalid address.
Okay, so do you have the correct server address for logging the Polycoms into the system?
That's the one thing I wasn't sure of. What is that correct address?
The correct server address is 10.254.1.250.
Okay, I'll check that.
Okay, that's the most important thing. Everything else is your username and password
Right.
to your own system. Okay, if it turns out that you can't get in, it's because we only have 100 licenses, and some people like me have more than one. So we can have tech department remove some licenses from people with multiple licenses and free up. So I asked him the other day, can you free up some licenses? Went in and did a purge and freed up like 30 licenses. So that will help too. So if you get that message that there aren't enough licenses, let the tech department know and they can free up some licenses and let you try and log in too. So let me know, John, how that goes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. I have 3 different guest speakers lined up to come into class, and all have agreed to broadcast for the cohort. So, John, who are these 3?
Unified. Turn it on so you can hear me. I've got Chris Humphreys has agreed to come in a couple of times, as many times as we want him to.
And he's your county sheriff.
We've been dealing with, yes, we've been dealing with the Constitution and some issues like Miranda versus Arizona. So he's going to come in and do a Q&A with my kids, which I'm going to open up to everyone else if they'd like to participate. We'd love to have more people throwing questions at him to see if we can confuse him. And then I've got Kendall Derby, who's going to come in. He's a range specialist who's going to deal with the idea of juniper eradication, as well as give us some ideas about possibilities for some of the stuff that we want to do in fossil, which might be applicable to those outside of fossil as well. And then I've got Gabrielle Homer coming back in to explain where Painted Hills Natural Beef is coming from and where it's headed, and how working in a small business in a community the size of fossil actually functions, and their scope and sequence and so on.
Excellent.
So we've got those 3 at least at this point, and each of them has volunteered to come in more than once if that's what it requires to get the stuff taken care of. So
okay, good.
We've got,
how do they feel about speaking to an audience of many age levels? So sometimes speaking to the higher levels and sometimes answering questions of lower level kids. Are they okay with that?
They've all agreed that they can speak to anyone. There's one, we're dealing with the Second Amendment, and then the gun control issue and the availability of ammunition, which I'm not certain is quite appropriate for some of the very younger levels. But yeah, any of those, they've all agreed that they can talk to anyone. They'll answer whatever questions that they come across.
So when you post your event block, you'll be sure and put in the grade range. Just to let everyone else know, if they don't know, Fossil Charter School has a theme for natural resources. So they have been charged by their board to make as much of their curriculum as possible aligned with issues around natural resources. So that's where 2 of those conversations are coming from. Okay, that's John is okay. Hi, it's Tanya. Kathy wants to practice for Battle of the Books. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we have a Battle of the Books teams for 3rd through 5th grade and teams for 6th through 8th grade, and we would like to practice with other teams from other schools using the Polycom. Does anybody have any teams in their schools? I think Condon probably does. Is Condon here today on the Polycom?
Condon Elementary.
Yeah. So I'll email that out. I'll set up an event and email it out to everybody.
Tanya wants to talk.
Hey, Tanya.
Next year, could you help us get signed up for that? Because Bonnie would like her 3rd through 5th class to do that, but we missed the deadline.
Definitely, I'll work with her. Email me her name so I remember.
It's Bonnie Holton.
Holton?
T-O-L.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. So let's do a walk around and see what your upcoming event. John just shared some of his upcoming events. Kathy has the book read going on. Jessica and Amy, do you have some upcoming events?
Other than club, not so much.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out.
So, would you like me to come over there and have a conversation with you guys, sort of a work together to get back?
I still don't know what I'm doing at all.
Okay. So would you 2 send me some days and times, even if it's like your prep period, if you have a common prep period, you'd rather have me there morning, you'd rather have me there afternoon, something like that. Let's do that this month or early February and have at least an hour together, hour and a half.
I'm definitely not with that.
Because Jessica's brand new. And Amy just got back from maternity leave. Congratulations, Amy.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Irene, what do you got? What do you have cooking?
Okay, I'm off mute. Right now, nothing planned, but in the pipeline, we're going to have our math contest again over at COCC, and last year we collaborated with Spray. So we're going to try to do more of that this year to prepare, because after we finished that math contest, the kids said, boy, I wish we had practiced more. Just what you want to hear from them. So I have to be in touch with Charlie on that, and we'll get that going. The contest isn't until April, but we'll probably start preparing sometime in February.
Okay. One of the things I told, and I'm going on to everyone else, but while I'm thinking of it, I told all the superintendents about a new, it's not an app, it's a download for your PC or Mac. It's called Air Server, which allows any iPad then, you don't have to put something on the iPad, only the computer that's connected to your smartboard or your projector. So if you don't have a smartboard in your classroom, you can still do this on your projector. You download Air Server. When you buy education bundles of 10 or more, it's only $4 a license, so $4 per computer. Then any computer, any iPad can push to the screen, and I've seen as many as 8 different student iPads being shown on the screen at the same time. So Laura and I were talking about this and saying, this would be a great way for kids to say, one of the conversations we have in math is, how many ways are there to solve this problem? You show me how you do it on the iPad, on a doodle pad or something like that, a sketch pad. You push all of those iPads onto the board and display them to another class in another school and say, well, these are the ways that we did it. What are some ways that you can do it? And those kids can push their iPads through, and it would be a way to share content that the kids in groups are creating. Also, Tanya does some great stuff with the Puppet Show apps on the iPad, and now with Air Server, you can push those puppet shows directly from the iPad onto the smartboard and push it through the HDX so that the other side can see that.
So, can I ask you a question? You said it was what, $14.95?
But if you buy bundles of 10 or more, it's $4 per license.
So you have to buy one for each iPad. You'd have to have one-to-one.
No, not each iPad. Each computer that projects onto a smartboard or a projector screen.
So if you only have one, if you only have one smartboard.
Sorry.
I have one smartboard and one computer has one license on it, and all the kids in the classroom could push their content on their iPads onto that screen.
Okay, thanks. I didn't quite
Now,
understand.
the computer that's attached to my active board is a Windows 7 machine. Is that applicable to Windows 7 machines? Can they do that, or does it have to be...
They have a 7 and an 8 choice. You choose which version you want.
Okay. But Microsoft is usable with these iPads to be pushed.
That was the first one that I did. Was I downloaded Air Server for a PC because that's my main computer.
Good.
And they have a Mac version too.
That's applicable. So,
right.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. That's how it works. So I told the superintendents about it. They thought that was a great solution. $4 a pop for 10 or more. If you don't have a school that has enough people to get a bundle of 10, let's pair you up with another school so that maybe it's 3 in spray and 7 in fossil, or 3 in spray and 4 in fossil, and whatever, to add up to the right number. We can do it that way too. But Air Server, I've tested a lot of them, but this it was so easy. All the other ones I was fussing with, and nobody's going to have the patience for this. This one, you loaded it. It comes up every single time you turn on your computer. You push from your iPad and it just goes. You have to make a little password, and I made my password my turn. It was easy for me to remember because then the kids, when they push their iPads, what do they say? What do I type? Well, they say it's my turn, and I thought it would take over. You can only see one iPad at a time, but it starts filling up the screen with all of the iPads for the class. So I don't know what the number limit is, but I've gotten 8 up there at once. Okay, moving on to Tanya. Did we hear from you about your upcomings?
Laura and I have divided our classes into groups of 4, and their iPads are all ready to go for it. They're each going to have a meet and greet on their own iPad with their own group. They're ready to do it on their own. And so we're doing that on Friday. And then we're doing a weather unit. So we're going to, once they do their meet and greet and play around with the iPads, they're going to start solving some problems in their own groups.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Gerald.
Oh, and then, sorry.
That's okay, Tanya.
All last week we met in the mornings, each class, and we gave a weather forecast and what the high was for the last week. So they thought that was pretty fun.
That is fun. Excellent. Gerald.
Well, I don't have anything lined up right at the moment. We're in the middle of wrapping up final exams for the semester, and then we're starting to MOOCs state testing next week. So I'm kind of strapped to trying to get anything in the remainder of this month. We've got a couple things coming up, and I don't have it arranged. Our science kids are going to be doing their invention convention. I know Kathy Thompson's been quite interested in and helped out quite a bit already with being involved with the participation and presentations through this. So I don't have any dates for anything, but we just have some ideas we're throwing around.
What about the idea that, because I know that you're really good at working with your kids on test prep. What are the attack skills for taking one of the standardized tests? You do that with your students, right?
Yeah, just in your daily class stuff.
Well, but you just said you're in the process of getting the kids prepared for taking the state test. So I think that it would be a great thing for you to host is what you're already going to be doing with your kids is maybe a 30-minute segment on these are the things you need to think about when you're doing the math portion of a test. This is how you attack it. These are the rules of the state test. This is how it goes. These are the things you should look at and look for. That would be a great thing for you to broadcast. Or have your kids actually, as Mike said, or have your kids turn around and present their various tips for how to, you'd have to coach them on it, but they could get up and each one or in pairs give a short presentation on, you have to do this when you do these kinds of tests, math tests. This is what you look for. This is how you eliminate the one that you know absolutely is wrong. The distractor. This is how you pace yourself. This is, Okay?
Okay.
All right. It's an idea. Brian.
Rhonda Brennan from Mitchell and I've been talking about doing a countywide science fair. That'd be a little bit later in the spring. We're talking around the spring break time period. And we haven't worked out all the details, but it's kind of been going back and forth on that.
Can other districts join you on that?
Yes. We're still figuring out the details, but anybody that is interested, if they want to email me or her, and we're trying to. Dennis Starr had been a part of it in the past as far as expressing interest and looking at least a county, but it could certainly be a regional kind of event.
Great. Okay. Mary.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Brian.
I have a question on the Polycom. Last time we interviewed a woman that lived in Russia for quite a few years, and she had a tough time downloading the Polycom system. And we actually ended up doing Skype instead because she was very familiar with it.
Okay.
Do you have kind of a step-by-step that I could forward to someone on the Polycom?
Yes, I'll make one. I'll make a screencast.
We have a interview we're trying to figure out with a teacher from Scotland. There's a bit of a time difference there that...
8 hours.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough time to get her class and my class. We're trying to figure out if we can stay late and no, that's the other way.
No. You come in early and they stay late. Yeah.
Early.
Great.
So that's in the works, but it's had a couple of challenges along the way.
Okay, terrific. Mary?
Well, I have I designed a unit over Christmas. It's I have the Basil reader, but it's a big project at the end of that unit that goes much deeper and uses a lot of skills. They have to do it independently. Looks something like what Lorena does a bit. So we're in the middle of that, but the final project, which they'll be working on next week, is they have to write a skit or a newscast, and then they'll practice it in front of on their iPads before each other. But I would like them to do that live, so I'll be sending out some invitations to that.
Excellent.
And I had, we just started our quarter this week, and I had 12 sign up for choir, high school. And so I'm wondering if anyone else has a choir program, and if there's any way we could and there's this little funny leg, and so it might not work singing, but at the very least, maybe I would have them sing at our next meeting at the beginning a song so they can just kind of get some feedback. But if anyone else has a choir, I'm thinking there might be
But we
some
have.
way to
What age group is your choir? What age group? It's high school choir.
7 through 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised. I have but basically all the girls. So if anyone has a choir or is interested in, I don't know, it seems like maybe we can do something with that. It would be fun. But at the very least, I'm going to have them perform for you guys at the next meeting one song. So we'll see how it goes.
So, Kathy's going to check with the music teacher in Arlington. Do you have one
Yes, and Mary Mitchell, Mr. Wilson, Tim Wilson started a music class with high school students this week. They're going to be doing a musical. So that may be, I'll let him know that you have a group of people as well, girls as well, that are singing. So maybe there's some connection there.
And the other thing is, this is something that elementary could watch and learn from. Don't be afraid to bring in elementary students, even if they're just, kind of observing, having access not only to the technology, but the experience that the older kids are going through is going to be great. Sarah.
Hello.
Hello.
I got Katie Cook wants to do her poetry out loud.
Yay.
Again, and I think that's February though.
Okay.
So if there's any other schools that are doing poetry out loud, or if they'd be interested in joining in, I'll post that. I wanted to do, took a field trip January 9th down to Portland, and I was going to take the iPad along. We went to the Primate Research Center, but they don't allow cameras into the facility, so that just deep sixed that one.
Okay. All
Unfortunately.
right. Okay.
But it was a great field trip. If anybody wants to have some information and would be interested in taking kids down there, just let me know, because it was great. They put together a scientist panel. They had 3 researchers come and talk to us about their background and the research that they were doing and how they were using the primates, and it was pretty cool. The kids just asked question after question after question. So very good field trip if anybody's interested. And then I still want to try the idea of doing a field trip with the iPads, and so I've got a yearbook group that is doing photography, and there's going to be an Ansel Adams exhibit down in Portland at the Historical Society building. So if I can get that one together, I'm thinking March for that. That might be a kind of a cool thing to get that on the VTEL if anybody's interested in that. And then I'm also interested in getting talking with Jordan Maley about the earthquakes here in Condon and the fault that runs through Condon. And if I can get that going, I'd like to put that out on VTEL as well.
Thank you, Sarah. And one of the things I want to clarify a little bit in case people haven't discussed this concept of a virtual field trip, but that's where one of the classes or a group of people go out in somewhere else, and they have their iPads with them. They can connect to the internet, they can connect to the Polycom, and they can show live what they're doing, where they are, and what's going on. And the kids could ask questions, and you could be responsive to the environment. And so Sarah's got a great example of going, if the primate exhibit would have cooperated with us camera-wise, check ahead of time, but also maybe, and the field trip to see the photography. But here's one coming up, guys. I'm on my way to Australia again in March 8th through the end of the month. Now, I know one of those weeks is spring break, but there are 2 full weeks that I'm going to be there in Australia, in Sydney, where we could arrange a virtual field trip. There are 2 things we could do. A field trip, I could go somewhere around Australia. I got to tell you, when they took me last year to the fish market, there are types of fish in that market I had never seen before, of course, because it's a different part of the world. So that was always fascinating. The estuaries, the water, we're right on the ocean there. So lots of places to go. Any PE people, I could go down and just scan the beach at Bondi Beach, and you could see 5 or 6 different ways of having exercising in the ocean. But the other thing is I have access to 1,500 students at one school and about 500 students at the other school. The 1,500 are boys. It's a boys' school, and I think it's mixed at the other. I'd have to check. We'll have to do a time deal because the time difference is pretty extreme. When it's 8 o'clock their Thursday, it's 3 o'clock our Wednesday. So when our school is ending at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's starting school the next day in Australia. So we'll have to think about that. But I think we could probably get some things going if you have some days, even if the kids are just talking to each other and laughing at each other's accents and idioms. And the boys at the school wear uniforms, which is something our students may not be very familiar with. Okay, that's all on the agenda. We got it right in 45 minutes. Good job, everybody. Send me your questions. If you want to have some PD to get some ideas going and get some things together, either about planning events or working the equipment or this whole Senate Bill 290 evaluation stuff beyond once I present my little tutorial, let me know. Let me know, and we'll just arrange it. Give me some days and times, and I'll just come and see you, or we can polycom it. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Any last-minute questions or comments? I think that's a no then. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Wait, let me stop. Let me stop the video. Stop shared content. Can't find the video. Can't find the video. I'll grab this thing. Stop. There it is.